The call came at 3:17 a.m. Shattering the fragile piece Carter had stitched together in his one-bedroom apartment in Seattle's Capitol Hill. "Don't you dare show your face at the funeral." His father's voice crackled through the phone, laced with the kind of venom that had simmered for years. Ever since Carter came out at 19, Grandma Evelyn's obituary had hit his inbox just hours before. Her gentle face frozen in a smile that promised the world would always make room for misfits like him, but now that world was slamming the door. He stared at the screen, heart pounding like a trapped bird, the rain-slicked streets of the city blurring beyond his window. Evelyn had been his anchor, the one who'd whispered, "Love isn't a sin. Babby, it's the only truth worth fighting for," while baking apple pies in her Kentucky kitchen. The funeral was in Louisville, a red-eye flight away, and Carter knew he couldn't stay away. Not from her. Not even if it meant facing the family that had branded him a stranger in his own bloodline. By dawn, he'd packed a duffel with her old quilt and the rainbow pin she'd slipped into his palm on her last visit, whispering it was for the colors you carry inside. The airport loomed like a steel beast under the gray Pacific Northwest sky. And as Carter queued for security, his phone buzzed again. His sister, voice trembling, "Dad means it. Carter, they've told the airline. You're not welcome." His stomach twisted, a cold wave crashing over him. But he pressed on, ticket in hand, whispering to the empty air, "One last goodbye, Gran. For you." The line at the gate snaked like a funeral procession itself. Business travelers tapping screens, families herding kids with harried smiles. Carter's flight to Louisville boarded in 20 minutes. But doubt gnawed at him. His father's influence stretched far. Old money and older grudges in the heartland. He flashed his ID at the counter, pulse racing. And the agent, a middle-aged woman with kind eyes shadowed by exhaustion, scanned the barcode, her brow furrowed. "Sir, there's a note here. Family advisory. I'm sorry, but you're flagged for denial." The words landed like a punch, sucking the air from his lungs. Around him, passengers shifted, oblivious, as his world narrowed to the agent's apologetic tilt of the head. Flagged. Denied. Evelyn's face flashed in his mind, her laughter echoing through summers spent dodging fireflies in her backyard, and rage bubbled up, hot and unbidden. "This is my grandmother," he choked out, voice cracking. "You can't just." "Policy," she murmured, glancing away. But then her radio crackled, a supervisor's voice cutting through. "Hold on, ma'am. New boarding protocol just came down. Priority 4. Emotional support cases. Run it again." The scanner beeped. Green this time. And the agent's eyes widened. "Well, I'll be. You're cleared, sir. Group A. First to board." Carter blinked, numb, as she handed back the pass. A small miracle etched in ink. Group A. He'd bought the cheapest seat. Economy purgatory. Whispers rippled through the line, something about a policy shift. Airline compassion for grief-stricken travelers, but he didn't care. He was on that plane, hurtling toward her grave, toward the family that had cut him loose like a frayed thread. As the gate agent called his group, Carter stepped forward, the boarding tunnel swallowing him whole. The cabin hummed with pre-flight bustle, flight attendants murmuring welcomes, overhead bins slamming shut. He shuffled to row 22, aisle seat, dropping his bag with a thud that echoed his heartbeat. Across the aisle sat a man about his age, mid-20s maybe, with warm hazel eyes and a jawline dusted in stubble, nursing a thermos of coffee like it was the last good thing in the world. He glanced up, offering a half-smile that crinkled the corners of his eyes, tired, but real. "Rough morning?" the stranger asked, voice low and steady, like aged bourbon. Carter managed a nod, sinking into his seat. the quilt spilling from his bag onto the floor. You have no idea. The man leaned over, picking it up gently, his fingers brushing Carter's in the handoff a spark. Fleeting but electric. Amid the recycled air. Name's Alex, he said, settling the fabric across Carter's lap like an old friend. And yeah, I probably do. Headed to a funeral myself. The engines whirred to life, the plane inching toward the runway. And Carter felt the first pull of gravity's promise. Alex's presence was a quiet anchor, his broad shoulders filling the space without invading it. A faded leather jacket slung over his arm revealing a tattoo peeking from his cuff, a small pride flag in watercolor hues. Grandma, Carter whispered, as if saying it aloud made it real. She was everything. Alex nodded, his gaze softening. Mine too. Lost my pops last year. But Gran's the one who raised me after. Flying solo to say goodbye. The vulnerability in his question hung there. And Carter found himself nodding. Words tumbling out like confessions in the dim cabin light. Family doesn't want me there. Said I'm not family anymore. The admission burned. But Alex didn't flinch. Just reached into his pocket and pulled out a worn photo, two women. Arms linked. Beaming under a rainbow banner. Yeah, I get that. Moms were my world. But the town's still figuring out what two dads mean for their grandkid. The plane lifted off. Seattle shrinking below like a bad dream dissolving. Turbulence rattled the trays. But Carter's chest eased for the first time in hours. Alex's story weaving a bridge across the armrest. They talked through fragmented tales of stolen kisses in high school lockers. The ache of holiday tables set for one. The fierce love that bloomed in spite of it all. Alex was from Cincinnati, a graphic designer chasing freelance gigs. But his eyes lit when he spoke of his grand's quilt circles, where stories were stitched as surely as fabric. By the time the captain announced descent into Louisville, the Midwest unrolling like a patchwork quilt below, Carter realized he'd forgotten to grieve alone. What's your plan after? Alex asked, as the wheels kissed tarmac. Carter hesitated, the funeral's shadow looming. Crash it, I guess. Speak my piece. Then vanish. Alex's hand found his briefly, a squeeze that said more than words. Mind company. I've got a rental. We could share the weight. The airport terminal buzzed with reunions and regrets. But Carter felt seen. Truly seen. For the first time since Evelyn's last hug. They grabbed coffee in the arrival's haze. Steam curling like secrets. And Alex's laugh deep. Unguarded chased the chill from Carter's bones. You know, Alex said, stirring sugar into his cup. Gran always said funerals aren't endings. They're invitations. To remember who we are when the masks slip. Carter's phone vibrated his sister again. A curt text. Church at 2. Don't make a scene. He pocketed it. Resolve hardening. With Alex beside him, the drive to the cemetery felt less like a gauntlet, more like a road home. The rental car hummed along I-64. Bourbon country unfolding in golden October light. Leaves aflame against the sky. They detoured through a roadside stand. Picking up wildflowers Evelyn would have loved, daisies and lavender. Simple and stubborn. The cemetery gates creaked open like an old friend's welcome. Headstones marching in solemn rows under ancient oaks. Carter's family clustered by the graveside. Suits starched and faces drawn. His father a monolith at the center. Whispers rippled as Carter approached. Alex a step behind. Bouquet in hand. What the hell are you doing here? His father growled. Voice low to spare the mourners. But the venom dripped all the same. I came for her, Carter said, chin lifting. The quilt draped over his arm like armor. Evelyn's casket gleamed mahogany under the tent. Lilies framing her name in elegant script. His mother averted her eyes. Sister fidgeted with her program. But Carter pressed on. Voice steady. She loved me. All of me. And I loved her back. The minister paused mid-prayer, the air thickening. But then Alex stepped forward, placing the flowers at the foot of the casket. Ma'am was like that, he said softly, addressing the family as if they were strangers at a diner counter. Saw the good in folks, even when they couldn't see it in themselves. His father's glare sharpened, but Alex met it unflinching, hand brushing Carter's in silent solidarity. The service blurred psalms and eulogies, his aunt's trembling voice recounting Evelyn's garden miracles but Carter's words, when his turn came, poured out like rain on parched earth. Gran taught me love doesn't bend to rules. It breaks them wide open. Tears traced paths down cheeks. His family's included. A crack in the facade. As dirt pattered on wood, Carter knelt, pressing the rainbow pin into the soil. A promise etched in metal. Afterward, the reception tent fluttered with forced small talk, bourbon flowing freer than forgiveness. Carter lingered at the edges, Alex fetching plates of deviled eggs and cornbread, their knees bumping under the table like Morse code. You're braver than you know, Alex murmured, fork pausing midair. Carter shook his head, but the warmth in those hazel eyes made him believe it. Just a little. Night fell soft over Louisville, the Ohio River murmuring secrets as they walked the riverfront. City lights dancing on water. Stay the night? Alex asked, casual as breath, but his fingers laced with Carter's. Tentative and true. The hotel room was modest, overlooking the bridges. And in the quiet hours, confessions deepened Alex's first heartbreak in a college dorm. Carter's stolen glances at family gatherings, the loneliness that carved hollows in their chests. Dawn brought a tentative truce. His sister cornered him in the lobby, eyes red-rimmed. Dad's sorry. In his way. Gran's will. She left you the house. Carter said it was yours. Colors and all. The words hit like sunlight after storm. Evelyn's final act of defiance. His father hovered distant, a nod the closest to apology. But it was enough a thread to mend. Not yet whole, but started. As the plane lifted from Louisville back to reality's waiting, Carter and Alex claimed adjacent seats again, hands entwined under a shared blanket. The boarding order's surprise had been more than policy. It was fate's sly wink. Boarding not just a man, but a future. Evelyn's quilt warmed their laps, her spirit woven into every stitch, reminding them that family isn't forged in blood. Allenites chosen, fought for, loved into being. But the story didn't end on that flight. It unfolded in the months that followed, a tapestry of late-night calls and weekend drives. Alex's Cincinnati apartment becoming a second home with its walls papered in sketches of impossible skylines. Carter sold his Seattle lease, chasing the pull of something real, something that fit like Evelyn's hugs. They navigated the bumps, his father's gruff invitations to Thanksgiving, Alex's mom's beaming approval over video chats, but each hurdle only tightened the knot between them. One crisp November evening, under the same oaks that shaded Evelyn's grave, Carter proposed not with rings, but with a vow etched on quilt fabric to board every flight together, surprises and all. Alex's yes was a laugh through tears, sealing a love that had crash-landed into grace. And in the quiet of their shared life, Carter learned that bands could break, but surprises. They built empires of the heart. The quilt became their talisman, draped over the couch in their new Placia, cozy brownstone in Lexington, halfway between old wounds and new horizons. Carter had taken the job at a local nonprofit, advocating for queer youth in the South. His voice steady now, amplified by Evelyn's legacy. Alex's designs flourished, murals blooming on community centers with colors that screamed visibility. But peace wasn't linear. Shadows lingered. especially when Carter's phone rang with his father's number. The caller ID a ghost. Dinner Sunday. The voice on the line grunted one afternoon. No preamble. As if the invitation erased the funeral's frost. Carter's grip tightened on the receiver. Alex pausing mid-sketch to watch. Concern etching his brow. Just us. Or the whole brigade. Silence stretched. Then a sigh like wind through pines. Whole family. Your mother's asking. It was progress. Jagged but forward. And Carter agreed. Heart a war drum. The drive to the family home in the Kentucky hills felt eternal. Alex's hand on his thigh a steadying force as rolling bluegrass gave way to white fences and memory-laden lanes. Evelyn's house, now Carter's by deed, stood sentinel nearby. Its porch swing creaking in welcome. They arrived to the scent of pot roast and tension. His sister pulling him into a fierce hug at the door. He's trying, she whispered. And Carter nodded. Steeling himself. The table groaned under platters. But conversation skirted Edge's work. Weather. The cousin's new baby until his father cleared his throat. Fork scraping china. Heard you fixed up mother's place. Looks good. It was an olive branch. Blunt as a hammer. But Carter seized it. She'd like that. Always said the heart of home is who you let in. Eyes met across the cloth. A flicker of understanding. And for the first time, his father's gaze held no blade. Alex wove charm through the gaps, sharing stories of his mom's legendary barbecues, drawing laughs that loosened the room's knots. Dessert brought the real thaw, his mother sliding a photo album across. Pages yellowed with time. Found this in the attic, she said softly, opening to a snapshot of young Carter and Evelyn. Arms linked at a county fair. Rainbow cotton candy staining their grins. She was proud of you. Always. Tears pricked. But Carter smiled, passing it to Alex, who traced the image with reverence. She sounds like the kind who'd approve of this, he said, gesturing between them. The table fell quiet. Then his father raised his glass, bourbon glinting amber. To family, he rumbled, and the clink echoed like absolution. That night, back in their brownstone, Carter and Alex lay tangled in sheets, the quilt a cocoon against autumn chill. You did it, Alex murmured, lips brushing Carter's temple. Faced the storm. Carter shook his head, fingers mapping the tattoo on Alex's wrist. We did. That boarding pass. It wasn't just a ticket. It was you. Winter blanketed the land in hush. Holidays a mosaic of old and new. Alex's family flew in. A whirlwind of hugs and stories. His mom's enveloping Carter like a long-lost son. Evelyn would adore you, one said, pressing a knitted scarf into his hand soft as forgiveness. Christmas Eve found them at Evelyn's grave. Lanterns glowing against snow. Toasting with hot cider to the woman who'd bridged worlds. But drama stirred in spring's thaw. A call from Carter's sister shattering the idol. Dad's sick. Prostate. He won't say it. But he wants you here. The words hollowed Carter's chest. Old fears resurfacing like weeds. Alex packed the car without question. Their drive south, a vigil of what-ifs. The hospital room smelled of antiseptic and regret. His father diminished in the bed. Tubes snaking like accusations. You came, he rasped, eyes locking on Carter's. Thought you'd stay away. Carter swallowed hard, pulling a chair close. Family boards first. Right. A ghost of a smile cracked the patient's lips, and words spilled apologies wrapped in gruff admissions. Was wrong. About you. About love. Alex stood sentinel in the hall, giving space, but his presence fortified the air. Recovery was a slow dance. Hospital visits blending into home-cooked meals at Evelyn's house. Now alive with laughter. Carter's father mended, body and spirit, sharing fishing trips with Alex. Tales of youth laced with lessons unlearned before. Pride Month dawned vibrant. The town square pulsing with flags and floats. Carter and Alex marching hand in hand. His family in the crowd cheering. Not just watching. Summer brought the wedding. A simple affair under Evelyn's oaks. Quilts as pew cushions. Rainbows arching post-storm. Vows exchanged with bourbon toasts. His father's voice booming. To surprises that stick. The reception spilled into night. Fireflies dancing like Evelyn's fireflies of old. Carter pulling Alex close under stars. "This is the boarding order I never saw coming," he whispered. Kiss sealing eternity. Years wove on. Their life a testament, adopting a foster kid with eyes full of questions. Painting walls in colors unafraid. Evelyn's house a haven for other outcasts. Carter's father passed gently. Legacy a letter tucked in his will. Love like your grand's. No holds barred. And in quiet moments. Quilt overlaps. They'd remember that flight the ban lifted not by policy, but by hearts that refused to ground. Yet the echoes of that journey lingered, shaping choices in ways profound and everyday. Carter's nonprofit grew. Chapters sprouting across the South like resilient wildflowers, offering safe spaces where kids could whisper truths without fear of fallout. Alex's art became its banner. Murals of intertwined hands against stormy skies. Captioned with Evelyn's wisdom, "Love flies higher than any ban." Their home buzzed with purpose. The spare room a nursery for dreams deferred. One sweltering August afternoon, a knock rattled the screen door. A boy, no more than 16. Backpack slung low. Eyes darting like a cornered fawn. "Saw your flyer," he mumbled. Voice cracking. At the center. "They kicked me out." Carter's heart clenched. Memories flashing his own tearful exit at 19. Duffel in hand. Streets cold underfoot. Alex appeared. Towel from the kitchen slung over shoulder. Offering water and a seat without fanfare. They named him Jamie. Temporary at first. But the week stretched. His laughter filling corners once silent. Bedtime stories became rituals. Evelyn's quilt a cape for his superhero sketches. "Your family now?" Carter said one night, tucking him in. And Jamie's nod held worlds of healing. Drama brewed when Jamie's parents surfaced. A terse letter demanding return. Laced with ultimatums. "He's ours." The words spat, echoing Carter's father's old refrain. Court dates loomed. Lawyers parsing rights like puzzle pieces. But Carter and Alex stood firm. Affidavits woven with love's evidence. The hearing room hummed tension. Judges gavel a pendulum. But Jamie's quiet testimony, "They see me." Really see, tipped the scales. Adoption papers signed under autumn leaves. A new boarding pass to forever. Word spread. Their home a beacon. Other runaways finding footing, a trans girl with poetry in her veins. A non-binary teen wielding guitar like armor. The brownstone overflowed. Laughter a balm against old scars. Carter's sister visited often. Her own kids tumbling through. Bridging gaps with crayons and cookies. Dad would be proud, she'd say. And Carter believed it. The man who'd once barred doors now a bridge in memory. Alex proposed expansion a community center in Evelyn's name. Funded by grants and grit. Groundbreaking fell on the anniversary of that fateful flight. Shovels biting earth under a sky vast as possibility. Speeches flowed. Jamie emceeing with newfound poise. But it was Carter's words that hushed the crowd. "We all board with baggage. But surprises wait in the seats beside us. Grab the hand, it's your co-pilot." Winter's grip softened into spring again. The center rising like phoenix from soil. Open house night crackled energy. Walls alive with murals. Rooms humming welcome. Carter wandered halls. Alex's arm around his waist. Pride swelling at faces lit with hope. A familiar figure paused at the door, his old high school crush. Now a journalist. Notebook in hand. Heard about this place. Mind an interview. The piece ran front page. From band to beacon, one man's flight to family. Photos capturing the quilt-draped lobby. Jamie grinning beside it. Inquiries flooded. Partnerships bloomed. But the real gift was letter strangers sharing stories of their own exiles. Thanking for light and dark. One arrived scrawled in a teen's hand. Your grand sounds like mine. She said loves the ultimate surprise boarding. Summer solstice brought ceremony. Evelyn's quilt cut into patches for a community banner. Stitched at a circle echoing her traditions. Needles flashed. Stories shared losses and loves. Bands lifted in whispers. Carter and Alex renewed vows under the banner. Rings exchanged anew. Jamie is best man. Voice steady, to flights ungrounded. As years layered like quilt folds, their family expanded not just in numbers, but depth. Grandkids arrived. Tiny hands clutching pride pins. Evelyn's tales retold around hearths. Carter's hair silvered. Alex's stubble more salt than pepper. But their grip held fast. Walks along the river where it began. Hands entwined against time's current. In the end, as autumn leaves carpeted paths once trod in grief, Carter sat on Evelyn's porch. Alex beside. Quilt over knees. Best surprise. He murmured. Head on shoulder. Alex kissed his temple. Voice soft as dusk, first class. All the way. The center thrived. A heartbeat in the community. But challenges shadowed its pulse. Funding dipped with economic wins. Donors wavering. And whispers of closure haunted board meetings. Carter paced the office one stormy evening. Rain lashing windows like accusations. Alex sketching furiously at the desk concepts for a gala to save them. We've boarded worse. Alex said. Charcoal smudging his fingers. But doubt creased Carter's brow. Enter Elena. A sharp-witted donor from Chicago. Heiress to old rail money. Her arrival a whirlwind of stilettos and skepticism. Heard your story, she said at the first pitch, eyeing the quilt on the wall. Band family. Airline miracle romantic. But can it pay bills? Her challenge stung. But Carter met it head on. Sharing not just numbers, but names. Jamie's first poem. The trans girl's scholarship win. Elena leaned in. Eyes softening. My brother. Similar path. Lost him to silence. Make this gala count. Planning consumed them. Tints rising in the town square. Evelyn's oaks festooned with lights. Alex designed invitations etched with boarding passes. Motifs of wings and welcomes. Drama peaked when a local councilman balked, citing family values in veiled barbs. Threatening permits. Protests brewed. Headlines sharpening. But the community rallied. Queer alliance marching. Allies amplifying. Jamie's school friends baking pies for the cause. Gala night shimmered under stars. Gowns swirling amid suits. Bourbon flowing with toasts. Elena emceed. Her voice velvet thunder. Tonight. We board together, no bands. Only bridges. Auctions soared. A mural piece fetching thousands. But the pinnacle was Carter's speech. Arm linked with Alex's. Surprises aren't luck. They're choices. We chose love. And it lifted us. Join the flight. Pledges poured. The center secured for years. Elena's checked the anchor. Afterglow found them dancing slow under lanterns. Alex's whisper hot against ear. Told Yuko pilots got your back. Laughter bubbled. But tears traced too. Release from the storm. Fall deepened. Harvest festivals blending with center events. Pumpkins carved into pride symbols. Jamie, now college-bound, announced his major social work. Inspired by the man who'd given him wings. Your grand's rubbing off. He teased. Hugging Carter tight. Pride swelled. Mingled with ache as empty nests loomed. Winter's hush brought introspection. snow blanketing the brownstone in quiet. Carter and Alex volunteered at a shelter, serving meals to those the world had grounded. Stories exchanged over soup. One eve, a young man shared his exile, eyes mirroring Carter's past. "How'd you keep flying?" he asked. Carter glanced at Alex, ladling beside. "Found my roommate. The rest. Turbulence you weather together." Spring renewal saw expansions, counseling suites, art studios blooming. Elena returned, brother in tow, his tentative smile of victory. "Heard the airline tale," he said, shaking Carter's hand. "Inspired my own coming out. Connections wove tighter. A web of resilience. Summer heat wave tested air conditioners and tempers. A blackout plunging the center dark. Generators hummed. But in the flicker, vulnerability surfaced, teens panic attack. Group huddle in candlelight. Carter shared his funeral flight. Voice steady. Darkness boards us all. But lights in the voices beside. Dawn broke with restored power. Bonds forged stronger. As leaves turned once more. Anniversary neared at October flight, 6 years past. They retraced to Louisville. Hotel overlooking gates. Boarding passes framed on the wall. Dinner by the river. Toasts to Evelyn. Then bed tangled in memory. "Every day's a surprise," Alex murmured, fingers tracing spine. Carter smiled. "Heart full, and you're the best one." Life's rhythm pulsed on. A symphony of small miracles. Jamie's graduation. Elena's foundation grant. A family reunion where his father's chair stood empty but honored. In quiet nights, quilt drawn high, they'd dream of tomorrows. Hands clasped, ready for whatever gate opened next. Echoes of growth rippled outward, the center's reach extending like roots through soil. Partnerships formed with universities. Internships for queer scholars. Theses penned on resilience narratives. Carter keynote at conferences. His story a beacon, from denied boarding to liftoff, slides featuring Alex's art. Applause thundering like approval long craved. But internal storms brewed. Burnout shadowed Carter's eyes. Nights sleepless with grant deadlines. Days blurred in meetings. Alex noticed first. Coffee steaming on breakfast bar. "You're carrying the plane solo," he said gently. Hand over Carter's. Therapy sessions followed. Center mandated. Couch confessions peeling layers, grief for Evelyn resurfacing. Fear of failing her legacy. "She'd want you whole," the counselor urged. And Alex echoed in walks. "Let me share the load." Renewal came in sabbatical. 2 weeks unplugging to the Smokies. Cabin nestled in mist. No phones. Just trails and talks. Evelyn's quilt picnicked on boulders. One dawn. Fog-shrouded peak. Alex knelt not proposal. But promise, vows to restock your tank. Therapy dates. Date nights. No heroics alone. Tears fell. Mingling with dew. Carter's yes, a breath of freedom. Return invigorated. Delegation flowing. A deputy director hired Jamie's mentor. Sharp and steady. Drama ignited when vandals struck. Graffiti slashing murals. Go back to Cali. Rage boiled. Police reports filed. But Carter rallied a repaint party. Community brushes erasing hate in hues of defiance. Media swarmed. Stories shifting from slur to solidarity. Donations spiking. Fall foliage framed a milestone center's 5th birthday. Bash under oaks with live bands. Food trucks steaming. Elena toasted. Brother now board chair. His speech cracking voices. This place boarded me when I was lost. Jamie performed. Guitar strumming anthems of arrival. Carter and Alex swaying front row. Pride a living thing. Winter's embrace warmed with holidays. Center's tree adorned in ornaments from residents past tiny airplanes. Rainbow threads. Family gathered. His sister's clan swelling ranks. Tots chasing Jamie's heels. New Year's Eve. Countdown in the square. Confetti bursting as Carter pulled Alex close to uncharted flights. Spring unearthed buried treasures. Evelyn's attic yielded letters. Bundled ribbons. Pinned to Carter pre-coming out. My boy. Whoever you love. Love fierce. One read. Ink faded but fierce. Shared at a center reading. Tissues passed. Catharsis collective. Summer scorched. But a retreat cooled. Spirits lake, house borrowed. Group kayaks slicing water. Games by firelight. Truths in circles, a counselor's loss. Volunteers triumph. Carter facilitated. Voice light. Alex's glances anchors. As harvest moon rose. Reflection deepened. Carter journaled by lamplight. Pages filling with gratitudes. Alex's laugh. Jamie's calls from dorm. Elena's emails. Legacy isn't perfection. He wrote. It's the seats we save. Anniversaries layered. That airline tale mythologized in center lore. Told to new arrivals like fairy dust. One night. Storm raging. Power out. Carter and Alex huddled under quilt. Candles flickering. Remember the turbulence. Alex teased. Carter chuckled. Best upgrade ever you. Life's we've tightened. Threads of joy and trial interlacing. A book deal landed. Carter's memoir, Surprise Boarding. Ghosted with Alex's illustrations. Launch packed the center. Signing stretching hours. Fans sharing parallels. Royalties funded scholarships. Cycles of lift. In twilight years. Porch swings creaked with stories retold. Grandkids on laps. Evelyn's spirit in every giggle. Carter's hand in Alex's. Weathered but warm. They'd watch sunsets. Whispering. Cleared for endless takeoff. The memoir's ripple widen horizons. Invitations pouring from coasts to Heartland TED stages. Pride parades. University halls. Carter's voice, honed by years, resonated deeper. Not just survivor, but sage. Alex traveled tandem. Sketchpad capturing crowds. Their hotel rooms sanctuaries of debriefs and desire. Tension crested at a conservative conference. Panel bridging divides. Carter flanked by skeptics. Questions barbed, isn't this agenda against family? But he countered with Evelyn's grace, family evolves. Bands break it. Love rebuilds. Backlash brewed online. Trolls swarming. But allies amplified. A viral clip of his closing, bored with compassion. Land and understanding, garnering millions. Homefront steadied them. Brownstone a haven. Garden blooming under Jamie's visits. Now grad student with a bow in tow. Dinners extended. Tales traded. The quilt centerpiece like a family elder. Elena's brother proposed partnership. A national network linking centers. His engagement announcement over brunch finds a center alum. Full circle. Drama danced in personal tides. Alex's knee buckled mid-mural. Artist's hand trembling on ladder. Surgery loomed. Rehab a gauntlet. Carter trading suits for scrub sides. Soup simmering on stoves. Your turn to co-pilot. Alex joked through pain. But vulnerability bonded deeper. Nights of ice packs and whispers forging steel. Recovery bloomed slow. Easel relocated to porch. Strokes deliberate. Carter commissioned a piece their flight. Stylized clouds parting for intertwined silhouettes. Unveiled at center auction. It fetched records. Funds for art therapy wing. Fall's palette inspired a road trip. Retracing Evelyn's Kentucky loops. B&B hops with pie detours. One in. Quilt antique on bed. Sparked memory. She'd say this is fate's stitch. Laughter echoed halls. Love rekindled in firelight. Winter wove coziness. Center's holiday drive collecting coats for outcasts. Sorting sessions with Coco and Carols. A blizzard trapped volunteers overnight. Impromptu sleepover birthing a tradition annual lock-in. Games and goals under one roof. Spring's thaw mirrored inner lifts. Alex's knee strong. Joint mural project with residents, a wall of surprise stories. Tiles painted with personal flights. Dedication drew crowds. Mayor cutting ribbon. Speeches saluting resilience. Summer sizzled with internships. Teens shadowing Carter. Absorbing advocacy's art. One prodigy. Shy coder. Built an app, Boarding Buddy. Connecting exiles with safe rides. Launch party buzzed. Downloads soaring. Impact immediate. Harvest brought reflection retreat. Center cabin getaway. Journals and jams. Carter facilitated. Alex strummed guitar. Revelations flowing like bourbon. Gratitude's our fuel. One shared. Echoing Evelyn. As leaves fell. Milestone marked 10 years since the flight. Gala grand. Airline execs attending. Toasting the policy that sparked it all. Carter's speech. Surprises aren't endings. They're encores. Dance floor packed. Alex twirling him dizzy. Joy pure. Life's score crescendoed. Harmonies of legacy. Grandkids' weddings under oaks. Toasts to the surprise that started it. In elder grace. Rocking chairs aligned. Carter and Alex reminisced. Hands clasped eternal. Best row ever. Alex winked. Carter leaned in, cleared for landing together. Legacy's mantle settled light. The center autonomous now. Carter advisory. Time freed for passions dormant. He took up Evelyn's gardening. Herbs thriving in raised beds. Scents evoking her kitchen hymns. Alex taught workshops. Hands guiding brushes. Passing torch with patience. A curveball arced from pasta letter from his father's estranged brother. Uncle unseen since boyhood. Postmarked Alaska. Read your book. Stirred dust. Coming Eastmind a visit. Enigma unpacked over coffee. Uncle's grizzled frame belying soft eyes. Tales of parallel exiles. His own queerness buried deep. Missed the family boat. He confessed. But Carter bridged, plenty of seats left. Reunion orchestrated at Evelyn's house. Tables laden. Uncle's stories thawing ice. Laughter bridged decades. Photos snapped. A new thread in the quilt. Spring unfurled collaborations. Center partnering with Airline scholarships for queer youth travel. Evelyn's wings. First recipients boarded with fanfare. Carter waving from gates. Echoes of his own ascent. Drama simmered in health shadow. Carter's checkup flagged shadows. Scans scheduled. Weight of ice. Alex's vigil unwavering. Hands steadying shakes. Benign verdict broke dawn. Relief a flood. But lesson lingered, cherished the now. Summer's heat-fueled adventure. Cross-country drive in vintage convertible. Route 66 remixed with detours to queer landmarks. Stonewall echoes. Desert dawns. Nights under vast skies. Loving fierce against horizons. Fall's hush-hosted book tour redux. Surprise boarding sequel. Co-authored with Alex illustrated chapters of their weave. Signings intimate. Fans gifting art. One envelope heavy, Evelyn's locket. From a cousin's attic. Inscription, love lifts all. Winter's glow-centered family. Jamie's wedding a spectacle vows under quilt canopy. Carter walking him aisle. Tears blurring. Toasts toasted surprises. Dance with Alex a timeless waltz. As snow melted. Elena's call crackled urgency. Brothers Center in Chicago needs your magic. Consult flew them north. Windswept lakefront. Blueprints brainstormed over deep dish. Impact immediate. Model exported. Network nodes lighting up. Harvest moonlit a personal right anniversary vow renewal. Lakeside with elders. Words whispered through bands and boards. You. Rings refreshed. Quilt witness eternal. Life's finale approached graceful. Aches familiar friends. Center thrived sans them. Jamie director now. Innovations bold. Porch vigils lengthened. Story spun for great-grandlings. Evelyn's wisdom core. One Eve. Stars pricking velvet. Carter sighed content. Full flight. Alex squeezed hand. And the smoothest landing. Dawn claimed them twined. Legacy airborne. Love surprise eternal. In the hush after. The world didn't pause. Jamie's hand on the center's helm steered visionary. Expansions to rural outposts. Virtual hubs linking isolated hearts. Carter and Alex. Emeritus icons. Mentored from afar. Letters and zooms their runway. A national award beckoned Human Rights Medal. Gala and D.C. Tuxes tailored. Evelyn's pin gleaming lapels. Acceptance duet. Carter's voice, surprises bored the humble. We just held on. Flashbulbs popped. Presidents shook hands. But homebound flight whispered sweeter. Arms linked in first-class irony savored. Elder rhythms deepened. Mornings slow with coffee and crosswords. Afternoons in garden. Alex weeding beside. Grandkids rotated stays. Lore lessons over pie. Your pops met on a plane. Banned but boarded. Giggles. Then gravity, like Gran Evelyn. Drama's last whisper. A storm felled the old oak at the house. Branches crashing like regrets. Cleanup communal. Saws buzzing. New sapling planted resilient maple. Roots deep. Dedication plaque. From fallen to future love regrows. Spring's symphony swelled birdsong. Carter's novel finished fiction laced truth. Protagonists echoing their arc. Alex illustrated. Covers vibrant. Launch local. Center courtyard. Readings under the young tree. Fans spanning generations.